Like these things seem like, cliche or so simple. And I remember at times in my life feeling kind of frustrated by that when I was kind of seeking out answers for the problems in my life. And I think the biggest thing to take away from that is that, they're simple for a reason, but that's not to assume or to say that they're easy, right? Like most answers to life are relatively simple, and maybe not that big decorated, like holy grail moment when you find it out. Like some of it's just like hard truths, simple truths, or just things that you maybe already subconsciously or somewhat partially knew. You just haven't quite put it into motion as well as you could have or that you need to. You're listening to Little Pricks Podcast. We're so happy you're here. Get comfortable and enjoy the episode.
Hello and good morning.
Good morning indeed.
Welcome back to the Little Pricks Podcast.
We're so happy you're here.
You have me, your host Fareed.
I'm Devon.
And your host Devon.
Yeah, we like to host this thing. It's pretty nice.
It's a fun little thing.
It's pretty fun.
If you're noticing, there have been some changes. The wall keeps getting prettier and prettier.
It does. And listen, those things actually do help. So if anybody who listens is, savvy on the sounds, let us know how we're doing. I think we need a throw rug. I think the floor is a bit echoey. We got hard floor in here. I think we get a throw rug, maybe a couple more of these panels. Dang. I think we'd be really good.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
So I've missed you guys. I've missed being in front of the camera, dude. We've both been just like wildly busy. Here we are, though.
We want to start off by apologizing that we missed.
Yeah.
We've missed 2 episodes so far here.
Have we?
We
did miss 2. Yeah, in the past month.
A month and a half, yeah. I've been traveling. He's been traveling. He insists on continuing to travel.
Dude, I'm tired. After this weekend, going back to California, done. I've had enough. It's fun. I don't want any more. I'm tired.
Say uncle.
Yeah.
Say uncle.
Uncle for real, man.
Yeah.
Seriously, I am so exhausted, but for good reason. So I am happy about that.
Yeah. He just likes to be busy for no reason. He just goes and rides a little bicycle everywhere.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Oh, I live for it. Oh, it cost me so much money, though. I folded 2 wheels in half last week.
Jeez.
And by the way, if you were wondering, bicycle wheels are not cheap. But shout out to Guru Bikes, because they got me fixed up. We'll get them to be a channel sponsor for how much money I spend at that shop.
That's crazy how much money you spend there, man. Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
We have an awesome topic for you guys.
Oh, as usual. Got my own. Inspired by pain.
Inspired by pain.
Brought to you by the proud sponsor of pain.
Hey, Devon. Just tell me before we start. This is going to be a topic that hits home.
Yeah. Always is.
He's experienced this in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Always brought to you by pain. I've definitely experienced it. I've been there, done that. I added my little notes into the things that you said. So, yeah. Can I relate? The answer is yes.
So today's topic is in regards to life and our journey through life, and our growth isn't linear.
Never is.
Though we like to pretend and consider that it is.
I would argue this topic is more centered around milestones, life milestones, or the rat race, if you will, and kind of escaping that mindset.
Sure.
Getting off the hamster wheel.
How to accept that you're going to have setbacks.
Yeah.
In that growth trajectory of yours, and that it's okay to do so. It's not linear. It's just the simplest way of saying it. Growth isn't always linear.
No.
Right? It's going to have its ebbs and flows. It's going to be a process. And in that process, it's very easy to become either discouraged or way too overly confident in what's going on around you.
Yeah, that one I was curious about. I've never had the overabundance of confidence.
Oh, I've been
For
there.
once, it's something I can't relate to. It's the polar opposite, right? It's the discouraged side that I've always resided on. So I'm curious to hear what you say.
So, we obviously are going to talk about the discouragement side because it is the easiest, most relatable side of it. But there is the opposite side of that coin. As Devon so eloquently put yesterday, there's always 2 sides to the same coin.
Yeah.
That you can become overly moved forward, right? I remember a time in my life where, I saw my investments just skyrocket overnight.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling this story. Yeah.
Overnight, man, I was suddenly just insanely wealthy.
Yeah.
Overnight.
Pain.
Yeah. And that was a point in my life where I was higher than I thought I'd be, especially at that point. And unfortunately, at that stage, I didn't have the knowledge or wisdom to hold on to it. I didn't know what to do. It was in the stock market. You don't know when to sell. You don't know when to do anything. And just to give you an idea of how long that money was in my account, it was there for months. And I didn't know what to do.
For months?
Yeah. I didn't know when to sell.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pain.
Yeah, it definitely hurt. But that's one of those moments where, like, you've done really well, and that can lead you to a setback as well. Yeah. And, our actions sometimes become based on our results in the moment, and that can lead us to either better decisions, lead us forward, or to poorer decisions. And as a good example of this is, right, you've been going to bed early every night for a month, and one night you decide to stay up late, and you kind of have a hard time the next night. And the next night you say, screw it. I'm just going to stop going to bed early because it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, kind of snowball effect, yeah.
You slip off, and you're now extending that period of difficulty for yourself, right?
Sure.
So to define this problem is that initially the brain doesn't see that you're never going to have a linear trajectory. It's so rare that you have this completely linear, like I did this, therefore I did this, therefore I did this kind of trajectory.
It's never that pretty.
Nope. But I think you have some pretty good examples in there.
Well, yeah, like it's like this idea of this trajectory is just, honestly, man, at this point, preposterous. Like I don't even, following this mindset or kind of like living under this societal pressure of having to like meet these certain milestones or be at this certain consistency and this like perfect nice graph is just outlandish, man. Like having a house by X age, or being married by a certain age, or being like, oh my god, I'm over X age and I'm not married, I don't have kids, I don't make over $100,000, I'm back in therapy. It's like, what's the big deal?
That's so funny the way you said those examples, right? Because the traditional trajectory is, hey, I'm gonna grow up, I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna go find a good job, a good woman, get married, buy the house, have kids, and I was fully on board with that trajectory for myself. Right?
It's not like having those set of goals in mind. Not bad. It's like crucifying yourself and being upset by not meeting those certain milestones by a certain age. It's not the best.
That was like I said, it's a great example because that's typically the line, the timeline of what you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
And I remember finding myself that I'm like buying a house, unmarried. Right? I had a girlfriend at the time, and it was wonderful to do it with her. We even pretended with the real estate agent that we were.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. We had a whole story, and that's how we got to buy the house. But
that's cool.
But we weren't ready for kids. We weren't ready for anything,
Yeah.
I don't think any of us were making 100,000 at that moment, right?
Yeah.
It's just like nothing made sense timeline wise.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting here like,
it's kind of cool that you were doing it anyway, though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I would do it again 100 times over, right? But it's just funny looking at that example that you've used and like, nope, I have the house before anything else.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah. I also live in a house by myself. Just a 3-bed, 2-bath house, just by my lonesome. That's okay. That's okay. Yep. That's so okay, man. I love it, honestly.
Your trajectory is always going to lead you to having a drum room.
Yeah. And a podcast room.
And a podcast room.
Yeah. Dude, look at that. Look at the camera. Look at that. Look at the screen. It looks so good. I'm so proud of us. I'm so proud of us. I just like, for a brief moment here, folks, bear with me. I just want to put like a 2-second clip of like some of the early episodes. I know I always dread them, but you know what? Now I'm proud of them.
Gratuitous groin.
Enjoy.
That's all I remember from the previous episodes. Gratuitous
shots of terrible freaking camera angles.
Why do you say that?
Because we were talking about, like before this, we were talking about like empathy and like how people like. What was awful is I always had, like, that was one camera angle, so every time I wanted to focus on you or me, I had to, out of that one camera angle, crop you or me. You know how many times I cropped until I dropped? You know what I'm saying? Come on.
He cropped till he dropped.
Dude, my hand cramped. I was cropping so often because like every couple seconds. Now on DaVinci, I just click on the camera angle I want it to cut to. So easy.
God bless you guys for sticking with us on this stuff.
Yeah,
God
because
bless
look at
us.
us now.
We're doing fantastic. Look at these chairs. So yeah, back to what we were saying. A lot of the problem with trajectories is that we create them as concrete plans.
Yeah,
like they
and
have
it's like
to
if
be
we
this.
deviate at all, it's just like, oh no, I'm a failure, I'm a fraud, and then you get this imposter state. All kinds of stuff happens.
And that's this break in your own mentality, right? You start to go
Yeah.
like, it didn't go how I said it would. Therefore, we like sometimes like abuse ourselves for it, right?
Yeah.
We just not gonna take it easy on me.
Yeah.
And maybe you push yourself further back.
Yeah, like I have to keep working these overtime hours. I have to keep staying up late and trying extra hard. I'm not taking a day off to just be lazy or to just exist. It's not even laziness. It's just I'm not taking a day for myself. I'm not doing X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
I think that the real essence of the problem here is that we lack the ability in those moments to really keep context of where we actually are in life, right?
And where we are. I think that's part of like the issue too, is that like I don't know, man. Like we just say where we are in life as a quantitative measure of like this maybe specific position you need to be in. Again, like referring to that, like, oh, by X age I need to have these things done. And it's like we lose focus of our individual journey, right?
So, sure, I don't see the issue with quantitatively, like, and you know this about me, like I love the numbers. I don't see any issue with it because realistically, let's pretend for a moment that the example is, well, I was going to save up $20,000 to put my down payment down, right? Mm-hmm. And let's say you had an expense that was like $5,000 right as you're about to hit your goal, right?
Okay.
And you sit there and you get frustrated. You're like, I was so close, and now what am I going to do? I feel set back. Are you? You're still 15,000 ahead. And that's what I'm talking about, putting context into where you're at in life. You're in context of that goal.
I think we agree on that. Yeah, right? Like it's like focusing on your individual journey. And I think that's like the issue that leads you to this problem that we're talking about in this episode is like perspective, man. Like you're still 15K. You still have that 15K toward your down payment. Okay, you lost the 5, get it back. It's all right. Like that's focusing on your own journey. That's not comparing to being like, well, my friends, they just got married and they're 5 years younger than me and they got a house, no problem.
Yeah, I think my point in about everything we discuss is that our life is not made up of 1 or 2 or 3 decisions that move you to where you're going. They're made up of thousands of micro decisions.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so it's in those moments when you're feeling either discouraged or overindulgent in your successes, right? It's those micro decisions that you make that are going to push you to your next success or your next failure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right?
Yeah.
Because once you have that 15,000 left and you're sitting there going, well, screw it, I might as well just spend it. Maybe here, a little there, maybe not all at once, right? But you make small decisions that push you further back.
Yeah.
Whereas you can just say, you know what? Okay, I did have to overspend on my car repair. I'm going to skip the Starbucks for the next 3 months. I'm going to help myself with that. You can maybe...
You are a quantitative person. I hear you.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's a numbers game that I was using as an example.
No,
but,
I know.
But that, you know what? All of this is numbers. Let's say you're working at... you want to run faster, right? I want to hit a certain quarter mile numbers.
Yeah. No. I'm just like in my head, I'm like, would I sacrifice sparkling water? No. I live in a box before I sacrifice my sparkling water.
So let's say you give up your house so you can have sparkling water.
Yes.
Micro decisions.
Yes.
That was a big micro decision.
I could build a nice house out of all the cardboard boxes I've saved. And the aluminium, I could melt it down. I could have a house from all the sparkling water I drink, probably.
I'm going to see this man in my backyard or with a crucible melting down aluminum.
Yeah, dude. Infinitely recyclable, too. It's like
Mind your business.
It's a greenhouse.
It's a greenhouse.
Yeah.
Mind your business and building the house.
Yeah, environmentally friendly.
In my yard, mind your business.
Mind your business. Yeah, okay.
So, it's focusing on the big goal here, right? And seeing what you actually want to accomplish. That's part of the issue that people just don't do it. That's where we lack, I think.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is I was like, I put in my notes here. I was like, is it goals or is it societal goals and pressures, right? Like, like if we're being honest, like setting our own personal goals and falling short of those, like really not life ending, you know, like it's not that big of a deal. But like because if you're only in competition with yourself, like you only win by outdoing you. So like, does this really arise as a problem if we're in that frame of mind where we're only focusing on our unique journey and our experience and not really trying to be out here? Because the goals that we're talking about, you know, the house, the kids, having a partner, and those are just the examples that we're using. There can be several others, but like all of these goals that we're using, like, are they goals or are they like societal expectations and pressures and things that we've just kind of like normalized and kind of made digestible enough that everybody's like, oh yeah, no, you know, yeah, you grow up and you get a school or you get a job and then you find a partner. Like,
you're saying the potential shame of what society is frowning upon or looking at you as what you should have done or accomplished by now.
Yeah, like, and I think, man, I'll be honest, like, and I don't want to take like too much time, but I want to at least spitball where that societal pressure and shame comes from. And like, no offense, but I think it comes from a little bit from older generations. Like, I think that there's like a bit of a sense of being out of touch of like how much has genuinely changed from like, you know, Gen Z, millennial to like...
So I do want to bring a point to that, right? Like, societal pressure to some extent isn't bad. It's not a bad thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just pressure to do well, sure.
Well, it's a form of holding you accountable to your own potential success, right? Like, I think that's part of the reason societies thrive. When you have an older generation that looks at you and goes, hey, this is how far we've come. Take the baton and keep going. Like, that's just good for society overall as humanity.
But that's not what's happening.
Well, again, you can have...
The shame I'm referring to is like, this generation's lazy, doesn't want to work. They don't want to work hard enough. Homer, now you want to talk numbers? Mm-mm. No, you want to talk numbers? This shit's different. Mm-mm. Your shit was handed to you in a fucking basket.
I think that
economy-wise,
I think that falls out of the scope of today's podcast because I do
want
to. I do want to indulge with you on that one because we have two different opinions on that.
Yeah.
Right, and I think we will just fall down that rabbit hole.
Fair. We can do that. Okay.
And that's definitely a fireside chat.
Ooh, that could be fun.
You know, that's where we just like tumble down that rabbit hole. But yeah, obviously, societal pressure isn't all bad. It is a benefit, but it's the question always of how do you take it out on yourself when you do notice a failure?
Well,
and that's what's defining the problem here, right? I see that you've gone after religious people today.
No, I definitely made that a point for sure. You know, you said when we fall off the bandwagon, we tend to use this as a reason to continue falling back, and that is true, right? But like, I think some of that does revolve around, you know, like shame-based mindset, and some of that, and believe me, in this research, it was not all, you know, religion. That was part of it, but there was a lot of that, and I only mention that because I see some of that in like your day-to-day life and some of that shame and guilt that you feel about certain things.
Yeah,
and like. There's studies on that, and they're like, yeah, wow, like a majority, predominantly, and it's actually not Muslim. It's actually Christians. Sorry,
Christians,
sorry, guys. Actually, it is a lot of Christians, but there is like this shame just naturally from the relationship that these people have with their God, and you know, it is kind of like a thing that's like, well. Other sources can include other things, but like if you look at religious people in general, it's like, yeah, majority of them report, yep, I feel a lot of shame from this. I feel a lot. And I sourced this from a few places. Some was like the NIH, the University of Pennsylvania did a study on that, specifically around sexual shame. And then there was like a couple of things I pulled from Wikipedia, but not much from Wikipedia.
And that's just a small tangent. It's a damn shame for Christians to feel any sort of shame.
Yeah.
Because that's not what the faith is about. That, you know, if you have a preacher of some sort that is trying to lead with shame, find a new preacher.
It's not that they lead with shame, and I can speak on that from personal experience. It's just that, like, naturally, secondhand, you pick up the shame from, like, the constant shortcomings and the constant reminders of how inadequate you are of God's love, but that He loves you anyway. But you ain't worth it. Just remember, it's because he loves you. But
See,
you could have never earned it, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
As a person who comes from a background of both, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, I've been to church and I've been to mosque, man. Like,
yeah,
I have to say that Christianity does really harp on you're not valuable, that you don't have the worth, and that's a very weird perspective. Where I've seen that in Islam, it's like, hey, he doesn't need you. Like, that's a given, right? Like, you are his creation, so to speak. But it doesn't mean that you are not a cared for creation. And it more emphasizes the fact that, like, you are special. You are different, right? Like, you are unique in our God's eyes. So I just find it so weird that, and unfortunate that Christians have, like, that heavy guilt because you're not worth it. You know, you're not needed kind of a thing. It's like, God doesn't need anything, you're right. But he also doesn't sit there and be like, remember that.
Yeah.
You know, like, you're not constantly harped on for being a worthless piece of shit.
Right.
As you would say.
Yeah, fair enough. Took the words right out of my mouth.
I know.
No, okay. So, like, that was one of the sources, right? And I think that some of it can stem from that, but obviously people who aren't religious, the other sources can be from, like,
Family.
Shameful parents, parents that constantly are like, oh my gosh, you're X age. Where's our grandchildren? Why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? Oh, you should have gone to school like your sibling. You should have done this and that. Like, there's all kinds of things, right? Like, you can have that, and just like that kind of like ties into and also includes a lack of emotional support from parents or just like your peers. I don't know. It can come from a lot of places, right?
I've come up with a witty answer for my family whenever they're like, so when are we getting grandkids?
Dude, I have such a dark one that I'm not going to share on here because that'll definitely have to get censored. But like,
I have one at this point. I'm like, hey, give me 20 minutes and 9 months.
20 minutes and 9 months, huh?
I'm like, hold on, I'll get this done.
20 minutes, that's gracious.
Well, you need 19 minutes to figure out who. Oh. Get my heads up.
Yeah. That's awful. You're terrible.
Was that as bad as yours?
Huh? Oh, no, mine was, no, mine's so much darker. Well,
just say it. Well, you can edit it out.
No, I can't do it.
What?
No.
It's ridiculous.
I'll tell you after.
I'm crying at that one.
Yeah.
20 minutes and 9 months.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And actually, they say that to me too. They're like, oh, that's gracious. I'm like, no, I need the 19 minutes to find her.
Yeah. Nice.
So I think the final point I wanted to harp on in defining our problem here is cognitive dissonance, which
that's a big one. We've touched base on that before
so many times.
Good episode, by the way, guys. Real good episode.
Which episode was that one?
I don't know. I'll link it.
Cool.
Thanks for the pop quiz on there.
Cool.
Thanks a lot. It could have just been on them to find it, but now it's got to be on me. Perfect.
I need to keep you accountable, sir. Yeah, it was a great episode. Yeah, great episode. Which one? That one. Get it right.
All right.
Are you a real little prick like us?
Right?
Shaming our poor audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the cognitive dissonance is basically the idea that you are misaligned with the actual reality. That your understanding of reality does not truly align with what is reality. Yeah. And so that being said, right, you might be extrapolating your problems significantly worse than what they actually are. And so you need to keep that in mind when you are looking at your setbacks or looking at your over-accomplishments, so to speak.
Yeah, because, like, arguably, everybody has their problems. That's valid, and, like, you're obviously not trying to take that away from anybody. But, like, the reality is most of the time you're crucifying yourself, myself included. We have a very recent episode about that in shorts where I'm like, hey, man, I'll sit here and just crucify myself over stuff that's, like, the same thing that everybody else goes through and deals with and trips over in life, but I'll sit over here and just like death by 1,000 cuts. And I'm like, why? Why do you do that?
And before we jump into how this all affects us, right? Like, I actually want to set out and give you guys just a piece of advice. The point of the Little Pricks podcast is that we are two friends. Sometimes we bring in guests, but we talk about actively the things that are on our mind that maybe people don't talk about enough.
Yeah, or the stuff that we've just learned the hard way, right?
But the point is, we have a discussion.
Yeah.
Right? And
always.
That's something that I hope you guys can implement into your own lives, that if you have a hard topic, talk about it.
Or ask us about it.
If you, or either with us or with your peers, right? The point is, even if it's what you thought is a mundane thing that maybe no one else goes through, talk about it.
It's mundane until it's not, until it builds up for months, years.
I can't tell you the amount of things that I've been like, wow, that's normal for you, that I thought I was the only one dealing with it. And that's kind of a silly thought process because we're all human as part of the experience, that we're going to have.
Or vice versa, right?
A ton of overlap. Yeah, vice versa for sure. So just keep that in mind, right? Have those discussions, whether they're small, big, weird, whatever.
Yeah.
They're important. Say the weird thing.
Say the weird thing. Yes, absolutely. Please.
Just say the weird thing.
Right? Yeah.
That meme was great.
Yeah, it was.
So now we want to talk about how this affects us, right? When you start to look at your failure, in this case, just the failure we're going to talk about, but it's self-doubt, shaming yourself, like you were saying, self-crucifixion, right?
Yeah, man, it's just awful, yeah.
We tend to be our harshest critics.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time.
You put yourself in that box, you're going to have a bad time, and there's no reason to do that, because then you start to project insecurities.
Oh,
you start to let them out.
Big time, man. Projection's a big one.
And then if you're not careful in those moments that you're feeling insecure, in those moments that you're feeling like you're just not hitting that mark anymore, that's where you really allow yourself to make bigger decisions that start to hurt your actual trajectory goal.
Or just the people around you too, right? Like if you're struggling, for example, I don't know, financially, right? And then you say the must be nice. Like that's been the one that, like, not understanding that the person that like maybe has that must be nice scenario, regardless if that's like material things or experiences, traveling, whatever it is, like not taking into account that person might have absolutely crushed themselves to be where they're at today. Like I've had people say that to me. Mm-hmm. Must be nice. And it's like, dude, you have no idea where I come from. You have no clue.
Must be nice is one of the most demeaning phrases you can tell somebody.
Yeah. Like I didn't just
just
walk into the life that I have right now. It took a horrific amount of sacrifice and hard work. And like, so like sometimes you can do that. And like, admittedly, when I was in a different position, I'll be honest, I've done that. I've said that must be nice.
It's a very, it's like a thief of a phrase. You're taking away the effort,
the
that
credibility and the
effort.
Yeah. So like you might do that, or I don't know what else to put here.
That's a solid piece of advice from recently. It's like, try to avoid statements when you're discussing with people that strips away credibility from them.
Sure.
Right? Because it takes a lot of work to build credibility. And the moment you just say something flippant like that, like one I'm very careful with, let's say you disagree with a political opponent, right?
Sure.
They're idiots.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Like that's
just absolute fools. Like, no, man, they're human beings.
No, worse than that. I think it's a very dangerous statement. You can use it with anyone, because you're trying to steal away credibility in their intelligence.
Or just their experience.
And their experience, but mostly intelligence, right? Because you're saying they're stupid, they're idiots. God,
sure,
right?
Sure. Yeah.
And I like to remind people, they got that far. They were not. They didn't do that being an idiot, right? It's just you disagree. And so instead of saying something so ridiculous.
That's a good one, man. That's a good one where I feel like a lot of people go like, ooh, not that subject. Mm-hmm. No.
Yep.
You
have to acknowledge, like, no, these people got it that far because they have something to offer. You just don't agree with them.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot in politics, and that's one that always gets me, right?
And admittedly, religion.
And religion,
I'll take that one on the chin.
Sure.
I'll take that one on the chin. Not that I'm out here calling people stupid or idiots, but,
Fair.
Yeah, is a frame of reference for me relatively frequently. So
yeah, it's just
I'll take that one.
A big part of it's you steal credibility and their effort, and you just kind of remove its value. I don't find that to be healthy, because then you make poorer decisions that way.
That's valid. Yeah, absolutely, man. Good on you.
And it makes it more dangerous, because when you invalidate somebody's opinions, thoughts, accomplishments, right? You now have underestimated them, and that's more dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
cool.
I will die on that soapbox.
Yeah, no, you should, man. That's good. That's very empathetic and introspective. Very well. Good on you.
But that's the thing, right? A lot of times that invalidation we give other people, we do to ourselves.
And maybe because we do it so normally to ourselves, right? Because, like, I forget how the saying goes, and I'm sure it's been said a million different ways, but the concept is that, like, what you've done to the, you know, yourself, you'll do to pretty much anybody else, or to the least of anybody else, or the most of anybody else. Like, it's like kind of the perspective of how you treat yourself is likely how you're going to treat everybody else, because it's yourself who
that's
you
been a huge
ideally
subject for me lately. It's like hurt people.
Yeah, because like
That's
ideally you
absolutely a
treat
great
yourself
example
the
of it.
best, right? Like, it's you. Obviously, you probably should treat you the best, and it's like, if you don't do that, well, of course you don't treat anyone else any better than that. What sense does that make?
Absolutely. And I think another one of the ways it really affects us is that if we don't allow ourselves to accept the reality of our situation, and that means like a objective look at what your position is in whatever situation that you're in, you color things in whatever color you want to do, whether it be positive or negative, optimistic, whatever it is, right? You make your situation objectively worse.
Yeah.
Right? If you
What was the one that you said before?
It's like, I had $20,000 saved up for a down payment. I spent $5,000 because I needed a car repair.
No, it was something else.
It
was from the victim mindset episode. It was the one, whether you believe that you're awesome or that you believe that you're suck, either way you're right.
Yes.
That was the one. That was a good one.
I love how you're like, do you remember that thing you said in season 1, episode what?
Episode 3.
What?
Yeah. That face was funny. Are you guys watching? You should be watching. I'm going to take a moment to encourage you. If you're only listening, watch the podcast. You will get so much more out of the faces, the mannerisms.
Physically animated, right?
Yeah, dude, for real. And
I just went cross-eyed when he tried to make me think about an episode without referencing which episode in any way, shape, or form. He's like, remember that episode you said that thing about what Jigger thing? I'm like,
yeah. So if you're on Spotify, congrats. You can watch it on there. If you're on YouTube, obviously you can watch it on there. If you're on YouTube Music, you can also watch the video on there.
Yes, you can.
So
yes, you can. The biggest thing about how it affects you is you need to put yourself in the best position to make better decisions.
Yeah, and it's multifaceted, sure. We've talked about, a lot of those things. It's tough, but again, the baseline for that, or like the motto for that we always refer back to, is that, like, it's baby steps. It does not start, and it is not linear. It is not overnight. This is an ebbs and flows type situation.
Reminds me of you ever watch those stop motion animation Christmas movies? Mm-mm. They were made by Rankin Bass. Mm-mm. It was an episode about I think it was the Abominable Snowman.
Oh, nice.
And he was so sad, and he's, how do you get over being sad about people being upset with me for being who I am, right? And he was afraid to go outside of his like little house.
Yeah.
The song came on. Just take one step in front of the other.
Oh, that kind of does sound familiar, yeah.
And
maybe.
Soon you'll be walking out the door.
Come on. I need a lighter.
I just love that, because that's exactly the epitome of everything you got to do.
Yeah.
You just put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, and like, these things seem like, cliche or so simple. And I remember at times in my life feeling kind of frustrated by that when I was kind of seeking out answers for the problems in my life. And I think the biggest thing to take away from that is that, they're simple for a reason, but that's not to assume or to say that they're easy, right? Like, most answers to life are relatively simple, and maybe not that big decorated, like, holy grail moment when you find it out. Like, some of it's just like hard truths, simple truths, or just things that you maybe already subconsciously or somewhat partially knew. You just haven't quite put it into motion as well as you could have, or that you need to. But
I found it.
You found what?
I found the song.
Oh, don't play it, because I don't have to cut it out.
I know.
Yeah.
But if you want to go look it up, the song is literally called Put One Foot in Front of the Other, from the Rankin Bass Productions.
Nice.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
I love it.
And you can go listen to it whenever you're sad.
Nice.
Because
you can go listen to it when you're sad. There's the holy grail answer. Actually, never mind, guys. I changed my mind.
that's all the advice you need.
Here it is.
It's in that one song from when I was 12.
Yeah.
And effectively, and this is like something I've trained myself to do, that automatically, when I am like feeling discouraged, it just plays in the back of my head.
Yeah.
That is the song that plays in the back of my head.
That's awesome.
And it just goes.
So, since we're on the topic of solutions, Thank you, sir, for your gracious offering of your your
And
solutions.
segue.
Right. And for me, and wow, has this kept me going forever. This has been keeping me going for so long, and it just largely plays into the concept of perspective, right? And it says hell is in your head.
Oh God, yes.
Oh, and it's true, right? It's so true that
And denial is not just a river in Egypt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have the power to rain absolute hellfire over your life. And if you don't find some kind of way to nail down peace in your life, however that might be, right? Like, for me, like I had to stop crucifying myself. I had to stop seeing myself in this negative lens that was inadequate, unworthy, and fall short of everything that he sets his mind to. And like in reality, like one, that's not even true. Two, that's not how anybody else sees me at all. I couldn't think of one example of anybody that was ever as hard on me that I was on myself. All I had was examples of people saying like, no, you're an amazing friend. You're a good person. You're a great partner. Like, no, like all these things that you think of yourself. So like I had to stop doing that. And,
Where do I meet these people?
Right. Yeah.
I don't think any of those things about you.
Right. And it's like, I had to quit doing that. Oh, I know, right? I see what you did there. Or just like your perspective on things in general in life. Like I had to stop finding like that default negative look on things of like why I hate where I'm at right now, or why where I'm at right now isn't good enough, why my job isn't good enough, why anything in my life isn't good enough, right? Like we're not, man, like we talked about this in last episode. Part of the evolution is loving and accepting where you're at now. And listen, we're not here to just like poof, have everything figured out by any age. Like it's a slow build, man. Like it's a slow build. You get a little wiser as the older you get.
I've seen a lot of people trying to figure their stuff out at 70 years old. Like I get it.
And there still will be stuff, right? Like that's part of the evolution, is accepting that where you're at right now is okay. Because believe me, where you're at right now, a previous version of you would be absolutely turned inside out, excited for the version of you that you are now. Like you've made progress. You don't have to be here to have everything figured out or have everything accomplished by certain ages. Like just relax, exist.
I think the biggest thing is taking like an uncolored approach and understanding where you're at, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the proper data and information, right? Which is why you see me harp on it so hard. If you don't have that in a completely objective point of view, you don't know from what point to continue. And that's the problematic portion about it. For me, I'm just a very number-based and kind of logical human being. I need to quantify things for me to have proper understanding, right? I need to have data points that I can look at and go, okay, that is where things went wrong. I can rearrange X, Y, and Z, whether it be monetary or whether it even be emotional based, right? I still think that everything has some kind of connection to something logical. Once I connect those dots, then I feel like I can gain traction again underneath me and start moving forward again. If I don't have that myself, I lose my damn mind. Yeah. I freak the hell out, yes, because I'm like, I don't know where to start. You want me to push what in the mud? You. Yeah. I bleep myself.
Good on you. Good on you.
So I know that that's my approach of doing things. I'm not saying that's the best way or the only way. It's just how I do it. Yeah. Devon has his own barometer of which he uses how he feels about something. Yeah. Freaks me out. Doesn't work for me. Yeah. Will not do that. I actively...
Left brain versus right brain. I don't actually know which one you or I would be. Which one is...
I think left brain is artistic. Right brain is more logical. I'm a weird mix of the two. But I'm just saying, like...
I'm a perfect mix of soup.
I'm just no, I wouldn't say a perfect mix. Yeah. I would, that phrase, jack of all trades, master of none, even though it's not meant to be the way it's interpreted.
Yeah, it's actually a lot longer than that.
Yeah, and it's
like
better.
That's like the first part of it.
Yeah, the ending of that goes basically, it's better to be a jack of all trades. That's how that goes, right? Yeah. But when you keep it in just that little phrase, how people use it derogatory, like you can use that as me. Yeah. Dad's an engineer, mom's an artist. I got the useless sides of both.
Nice. Tough.
I'm just kidding. Be nice to yourself. It's just a joke.
Right.
And not a joke that I use very often.
No, that's funny. It's okay to have a little humor. Especially dark humor. I'm all about the dark humor. You guys should email us memes. I would love that.
Send us some dank memes, guys.
I would love it. I would love it.
So, accept that you're going to be biased in your own opinions, right? Of yourself.
Yeah.
Typically. You have to
Including
realize.
the negative ones.
Yeah. And a lot of times people use the whole, I'm not being negative, I'm being realistic, as a way to like shield themselves from what's coming or from what they're thinking about. Don't do it. Stop it.
Stab it.
Stop
Quit
trying. Stop it. Stop trying to protect yourself by over indulging in something of that nature. Right? Don't do it. If something is just as bad as it seems, let it be as bad as it seems. Don't push it further.
Pain demands to be felt.
Yeah.
Pain demands to be felt.
And just feel the pain,
it.
right? But don't make it worse. Don't scratch at it. Just experience it for what it is. Accept it and move forward. Because until you have been done feeling what you're feeling, right, you're not going to be able to push past that.
Yep.
And the universe will continue to teach you the same lesson over and over and over again until you learn, damn it.
Yep. They say the bull will endure the storm and end up spending less time in it because it wasn't like all the cows that tried to run from the storm and actually end up following the storm and staying in the storm longer.
God, that's such a West Virginia thing to say.
Yeah, man. Woo!
Where I come from, I haven't seen a damn cow.
Yeah?
No, that's not true. I've seen a cow like twice.
Yeah?
Yeah. I got to feed them like 2 years ago. It was fun.
Yeah.
But I have not experienced a lot of cow. There's more cow in this room than I've seen.
Well.
Leather.
Oh, wow, no.
It's fake leather. It's vegan. Relax.
Oh, no. Pain.
There's no pain. That's pain-free leather. So I think that's the ultimate solution here, right?
Yeah.
Is have an objective point of view at where you're at, what you're doing, what your goals are. And it doesn't have to be anything financial, numerical. It can be anything, right?
Quit. Screw the milestones.
No, don't screw the milestones.
I'm standing on that. You're allowed to disagree. I say screw the milestones. Because precisely what I'm doing now and what you said that you did, with your partner in the past, buying the house when you weren't married, you weren't at all these other places, you still bought the house, and that's okay. That was your unique journey, and like that doesn't discredit the experience or me living in this house by myself. Like,
it's okay to have milestones. Just don't be upset if they don't happen in the order you want them to.
That makes them not a milestone.
I would disagree.
Milestones are like sat in places like, hey, by this amount of time.
Yeah, sometimes you detour.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go into loop-de-loop before you're like, wait, I'm back on the path.
You agree. You just don't realize it. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode.
That moment of self-realization, actualization.
Yeah.
Maybe. I might agree with you on that one. I don't know. But I think that there are important things you want to get done. Like.
Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Just get them done. Be objective. And realize that being overly hard on yourself is just as bad as being overly easy on yourself.
Valid. Valid.
And that every once in a while we have a little mental breakdown. That happens too.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe that's part of your walking yourself back. It's okay.
That's when I like to eat pistachio ice cream.
When you have a mental breakdown?
Yeah. I love pistachio.
Pistachio ice cream is your mental breakdown food.
I tried it for the first time, like a couple of days ago.
Did you have a mental breakdown a few days ago?
No. But
what is going on?
it's very good. I haven't quit thinking about it.
I see that. You're even wearing a green shirt and everything.
Yeah, I love pistachioes.
Pistachioes?
Yeah, dude. All right, guys.
It's too early for this.
Yes. We love you guys.
Good night,
so
guys.
Glad to be back. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. Please email us. Email us questions. Email us funny memes. Honestly, I kind of prefer the memes. Email us funny memes.
Or post them underneath. That'd be great.
Yeah. littleprickspod@gmail.com, by the way.
Yes. Thank you for tuning in. We will be having guests here soon. We're actively working on that. Now we have a table that can sustain the guests.
Well, we had one for today. They canceled. It's okay. It's okay. We forgive you.
We forgive you.
We're still excited to have you, though.
They didn't cancel. They rescheduled.
Okay.
They had an urgent
Reschedule.
work thing. Yes, they
Love.
had an urgent work thing.
Yes.
Yes. Don't shame them. Okay.
I know. No shame. I said we still love. Bye.
Have a good day, guys. Hopefully a nice week. Bye.